Well, when somebody produces themselves with a number of snare patronage and charm, tries to get me back to their house, tries to get me back in the direction of things less evil and less present, I can't help but thinking that's the only person that has produced themselves in this side of Lark, and there is nothing more that I'd rather do than see deceased things go away from deceased beings and things like that. So all I'm trying to say is that when somebody shows up on a day when there's no bus coming and tells me that there's no bus coming, indeed, and then snares me to Lark, snares me back towards their home, as it were, it's worth like a $15 Starbucks gift card for me to decide what's going on inside of this hand and this hand in correlation with these things, which aren't supposed to go together, but they're going to go together just fine. So when DNA presents itself as one of the only things that I can find here, which is DNA, I can't help but thinking there's a lot of DNA like this, which can't be rolled up too thin or too far away or too close. But they have it on them, and it like attracts them to you. There's something about it, and what it is, it's reminiscent of here and here and here and here. And you can find these things. They're like pylons built in the city, which help you get around. And there's some amount of this DNA in our bloodstream, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what perspective we have on the things that are in there, but there's several things in this bag. One of them I don't know. One of them I know all too well. One of them I'm hoping to discover with you. And there's another one which I will never be able to discover with you. And that's indeed what flew up my nose right now, trying to discourage me from that type of behavior. Now, when things build themselves off the cigarette, like it's like a crazy guy, and he's got a scepter, and I have to push the scepter back down, to get him back inside the thing. Like, I always feel bad about pushing him back down in there, because I know he's from the Isle of Man. I know the Isle of Man is not a particularly great place to be tobacco, especially in horse bends like this, cars and things just shooting by in every direction. But there's something better about the Isle of Man, which I never understood, and that's that there's little tiny things down there that they don't like you to have or like you to know anything about. It's sort of like here and here mixed with here, where the light comes around and there's a big round orb thing flying through the air, and then it goes up and down, 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 up and down. Okay. Now, as you can see, it renders a red figure. A red figure being a guard of sorts, and there's an investigative reporter of sorts like me, trying to get into the deed that I need to get into, indeed. Someplace where the news can report from, and everything that flies up flies down. And you don't throw something at the wall, you throw the wall towards the thing. Now, there's some other way for investigative reporting to be done. That's this way. You see? And when I formed some sort of graveyard hinge, and it's a graveyard hinge indeed, that helps me move towards these conclusions that I'm making in my life, and the conclusions that you're making in your life. There can be a lot more done inside of Arcanine DNA research than a pit bull with a mouse guard that gets shoved over it after it's lived its life to the fullest and shit, and then it stands up from another hoodie and it's like, I am a beast and I roar like a beast. There's something else in here. It's a High Templar. There's a High Templar inside of everything that you know, and it's a thing that knows more about the things than you know. I consider myself a High Templar of Lark and the things that I do in Lark. And so that doesn't mean I'm a High Templar of Lark. It means I'm a High Templar of Lark. Sitting here as an astute, astounded individual, astutely scooping things up into my dauber cam with all the information I need to pull it out to here, and then indeed revoke its permits and everything it needs and permature and things like that, so I can breathe through my nose and not through my mouth. I'm talking to a phone and not to the south or the west, here or here, and point out that there's drillers up there doing work for me here and here, and they will come back down over to here with information from there to here. Now this is advanced logic. Up is down and down is up, and I have to modify my fingers to do that. The up is down, down is up, sort of chain of command, as it were, happening here and here. Okay. Now, There's several things I want to point out about advanced logic and advanced architecture. Advanced architecture being this, okay, which is a cigarette, but it's not a cigarette, okay? There's something inside of it, which is now in my eye. Ouch, it's in my eye. You know, right here. We're going to see if this amount of DNA from here to here qualifies for advanced logic, or if it qualifies for Snare arginine DNA that's left from some sort of infrastructure which we don't understand, or which I don't understand. And because I don't understand it, nobody will understand it in my presence, and that's just how it's going to be. So, I have to make the point that there's camera angles like this, and there's investigative reporter angles like this, which are much better, you know, but I cannot do that with more than one of my eyes, because one of my eyes is like, hello, hi, in there, up in there. Now, this has to be the best camera angle ever conceived to be of notions of things like this, in advanced architecture being something that on a daily basis seems to flee from us. It's a very tall wall back there, but it's not a very tall wall. It's a very short wall. Now, depending on how we're sitting here, and our size has appealed to the size of our fingers and the size of our nose and our mouth and everything. And that's why I have a hoodie on, so I can maintain my size in arrangements like this. And arrangements like this being made almost as cool as arrangements like this, with the big metal orb thing floating through the air, bringing us back around. Now, I'm gonna get back with you in a second, and we'll let you know what exactly happened here and here, because I need these whips to work right. And now I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but I need these whips to work right, and that's these are matches. I need these to light the DNA. So I'll try one simple thing, which is this, which appears to work, doesn't it? But it only lit the outside. Now, here, a much more advanced thing, which still didn't work. No. There's always a fail-safe. No, you shouldn't have to go here. To get your shit to work. So, when you have indeed lost your shit, and you're sitting here like, I just had to do this, this, and this. So I could light the DNA up. Let's see if it leaves up the pipe, or if it comes back around or something. How do we get it to leave up the pipe? Is it just a camera angle? Are we really talking about a more courageous act of God? Like this one. That's a big frequency. It's overwhelming to most. There's nothing that smoke won't do with wind for it to circulate. This big metal orb thing flying through the air. It's like, whoa, oh my God. Here. So it's an airflow. There's an airflow tactic to it. Throw one cigarette at the wall. It's only possible to throw the wall at the cigarette, and that's very scary to me. You see, an ant, when it's walking across the street, walks directly down and forward, because that's an ant. That's what an ant does. An ant always walks down into the ground with gravity and directly forward. But I'm not an ant, so I'm interested. The reason I left the medical marijuana industry is there's a number of crossover in the industry, as it were, which I'm not capable of supplying the team's demand for medical patients to get what they need, and that's the reason I left the industry. Now, always concerned and always just infatuated with this Snare arginine DNA, which gives me these eyes, which I should have. I should, right? It's the world, it's the way it works. There's something about an ant, which is transmitted violently through wind. It's always interesting to me, the levitation, as it were. I remember sitting in my workshop with those tea lights running, and I was trying to make a video about camping with tea lights, and you put the little tin pie pan on it to create a radiator. Something I learned in Seattle. Now, what I found was the tea lights reacted violently with this kind of zero gravity levitating arcanine DNA posed a problem when camping. So I'm not going to publish a video like light your tent on fire and wake up in a new bodysuit. You know, like that's not the best video I ever made on YouTube. But 10 minutes about the exceeded file size. So indeed, you can hear the change in atmosphere, the cars and everything around me. It's spooky as it were. Now, is this rebirth or is this the afterlife? Coming to tell us something about our runes as they were. Now, is there more written on this wall before you flick a driller at it or after? I don't know. But it's Shipwright Accessories, Shipwright Essentials. Just another video. Snare DNA.